Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Short Hops with manager Kevin Hooper. Short Hops is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the Wichita Wingnuts skipper questions about the Wingnuts, sports or baseball in general, or just ask some questions about life. This week we recorded the show prior to the team taking the field against the Laredo Lemurs in the first round of the American Association playoffs. So there'll be lots of questions and information for us about what's going on with the team as they prepare for this first round series. So let's get right to Short Hops. So we want to welcome back manager Kevin Hooper, who's coming to us from Laredo, where the team is about to start its playoff series with the Lemurs. Kevin, first of all, let's just kind of get an update from you on some of the injuries that you might be having. Jace Ray, what's the status of his ankle now?
Yeah, yesterday was the first day we got him back in the lineup. We played him out in right field. He was moving okay. I know the tape job was bothering him more than anything, I think. So I think they took the tape off and it felt a little better. He said he'll be ready to go tomorrow night. My plan is probably to play Cleveland in right field anyways. So that means Jace Ray, might end up being our DH for tomorrow night.
And then John Nestor had an injury that came a few days ago. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that one. He's obviously a huge key to our success with what he does behind the plate. He took a fastball off the thumb wrist area right there, and I was really concerned that it was broken, and thank goodness it wasn't. So he's one of the toughest guys I've ever had as a player. I think that he'll find a way to get himself ready to go tomorrow with what's on line.
Excellent. Our first question comes to you from James from Wichita, who asked, you reacquired Taylor Oldham late. He seems to be playing really well for you. How did you go about bringing him back to the team?
Well, it was a situation where the only reason we moved him was because he was going to get an opportunity to play every day with Fargo. And he ended up doing that, and then kind of turned into a situation where he was their utility guy and wasn't playing near as much. And so it was another situation where we felt like we could get him back. And, if he's going to be a utility guy, he might as well be one with us where he's got a chance to win another championship. So we ended up bringing him back. He's done a tremendous job. He's gotten a lot of opportunities lately because of the guys that have been injured. And he'll be a key piece off of our bench. I think I've decided, we're going to go with Vargas and Smart up the middle just because of what they bring defensively. We're going to try to play the best defense we can and pitch and get some time to hit in here and there. But he'll be a great opportunity for me to have him on the bench to bring him in a pinch hit for one of those guys at the bottom if need be.
Well, we know you also have to save Oldham as your backup closer.
Yeah, exactly. You never know when we might need something like that for sure.
Let's see. Gary asks, 5 straight division titles. I don't think anyone in professional baseball has ever done that before. What are some of the keys for you this season?
Yeah, I keep hearing the 5 in a row, and honestly, I didn't even think about it, that we had won 4 in a row, and this would be 5 in a row. It's pretty amazing. I think the word that comes to mind for me is consistency. We've been very consistent at what we do, and it's been a fun run. It's been a very, very fun run, and I just think that this was a crazy season. I think that we had the most transactions we've ever had this year due to signings, injuries, and all that kind of stuff. And also at the beginning of the year, I continue to say with a guy like Luis Montanez, a big leaguer who was going to be our left fielder, deciding he was going to retire in spring training, and then a guy like Chris Garcia, those were our 3 and 4 hole guys coming into camp, and Chris just wasn't in the type of shape we needed him to be in, and it was a crazy start to the year, and it's been a crazy finish to the year, and in between everywhere. But we battled through it. We've made a lot of adjustments. That's my job, is when a guy gets signed or something doesn't work out, is to find a replacement. And it may not be the same value or whatever, but we try to get the most out of our guys here and put together another successful run. And tomorrow the fun all begins. All the hard work has paid off. I talk about getting into the playoffs is my ultimate goal, just because you can't win a championship sitting at home on the couch. And if you do get in the playoffs, you give yourself a good chance to win a championship.
Just as a note for those that are interested out there, there are 5 teams that I was able to discover that have won at least 5 championships or division titles in a row. So that is the 71 through 74 Oakland A's, 75 Oakland A's, the 98 through 2006 New York Yankees, the 95 through 2005 Atlanta Braves, and the 2007 through 2011 Philadelphia Phillies. So that's a pretty selective class there for you to be included in that group.
Yeah, and that's what everybody continues to talk about, is no matter what level it is, to win the 5 division titles in a row, saying something. And like I said, consistency. I think that's the key word to all of this.
Awesome. So our next question, I got to pull the sheet back up. There we go. Our next question is, how do you rate this season in terms of your other 5 championships? Kevin from Wellington would like to know.
Yeah, I think that kind of just answered that in the last question, Kevin, with this has been the toughest by far, just with all the transactions we've had and all the injuries and all the guys getting signed. And, I added up, you had those 2 guys at the beginning of the year that you were counting on hitting 3rd and 4th, and then you had 2 guys go to Mexico, so you're at 4, and then you had 5 guys get signed. So that's 9 guys, predominant guys, that you're planning on being a big piece of the puzzle who got signed. And then, you throw the injuries on top of that. That's a lot of decision-making and a lot of moving pieces. We've just battled through it. It's been a grind. It really has. It's been a grind of a year. And it's been a lot of hard work that's put in. A lot of hours have been put in to get this to where we are today.
I just want to say on a personal note about this too, Kevin, is that I don't think fans appreciate, not only has it been that you've really had to be some kind of master jigsaw puzzle builder to put this team the way that you have, but there's never been a moment that I've come across you this season where you felt like you were kind of spinning your wheels. You were always thinking the next move was going to take you a little bit further, and so it's been very impressive how you battled through this personally to get the team to this particular place.
Well, I appreciate it.
Peter from Sedgwick would like to know, why do you think there is so much animosity between your team and the Laredo Lemurs?
Well, this keeps coming up, it seems. I don't know. It's just, like I said, it's become such a big rivalry between us, and we've had a ton of success against them. So I think that that might be where the animosity comes from on their side of things. And, you've seen us play many times. We carry ourselves the right way. We go about our business in a professional manner. And sometimes that's not the case with other teams, whether it be in our league or other teams in professional baseball, college baseball, high school baseball. You see it a lot of different places. But we take a lot of pride in the way we do things. And, I think that there's been some things in the past that have happened with Laredo that maybe we don't think is as professional, and that's caused some animosity maybe between both sides. But as I always say, to each their own. Not everybody's going to run their team the same way, and Pete does a good job of building his team and getting his team in contention at the end of the season as well, because they've been very successful here in Laredo and have put themselves in good situations to battle for a championship as well.
Along those lines, Miguel from Wichita would like to know, do you and Pete get along well then?
Yeah, I can get along with Pete. I can get along with about anybody. You know that.
True.
Pete was actually the Double-A hitting coach over in Detroit when I spent those years in Triple-A. And no, we can get along fine. And I know he said there just seems to be so much anger from their side, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. That'd be a question for those guys. Because there is a lot of animosity, I know, on their side of things when they do play us for whatever reason. And when you're successful, and as successful as we have been, there's a bullseye on your back. And that brings out some energy and some intensity from other teams when you end up playing those guys, especially in the same division.
I don't know if this is necessarily true, but in your years of being involved in the sport, are there managers who look for kind of an angry kind of a rivalry against another opponent to build up kind of a fiery personality with the team? Could that maybe be what's going on here?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. No, I think you nailed that one on the head, Robert. I think there's a lot of truth in that. And, a lot of managers try to build their guys up and, maybe say stuff or do certain things to fire their guys up. We're just going to go about our business the same way we do night in, night out, and that's going to happen tomorrow night. Obviously, this is a special time of year. It's going to be an intense atmosphere here tomorrow night, but we're going to go about it like we always do. And that's play our game to the best of our ability and hope we come out on top.
Larry from Newton would like to know, what was the decision-making process that went into establishing your rotation for the playoffs?
Well, with Link with his elbow issues, his forearm issues that he's had a little bit recently, that's why we chose Richmond in game one, just because Richie can bounce back. And to be honest, flip a coin between the two of those guys. I mean, two ex-big league guys who can dominate a game any night. And so we went Richmond game one, Link game two, Tim Brown with the year he's had and the consistency he's always had with us will go game three, and then we decided Jason Van Skyke will go game four, who's been in this situation before and has been successful in this situation. And in a perfect world, we don't even get to game four. And then if we got to game five, Richmond would throw again.
Excellent. Dave from Andover asks, you have made a lot of great moves this year. Nick Van Straten seems to be your biggest. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a key piece to this whole puzzle, no doubt about it. Getting him from Mexico was a big move for us. I know he had some other opportunities and whatnot and decided to be a wingnut, and we're glad he did, because he's been nothing but tremendous for us, and he's been a huge addition. And you talk about him, Cleveland, and Will Roach, the three veteran guys that we got late in the year. It's been huge for our lineup, no doubt about it.
The interesting part is that if you looked at last season, Van Straten and Cleveland were probably the two best players in the league. You came up with both of them this year. So that's kind of an interesting end of the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Cleve was the MVP of this league last year. And, he was one that at first we didn't know if we were going to be able to get him back or not, because I know he was tired and wanted to be with his family. And, it was about a week before the deadline. I told him, well, you got a week to change your mind, and if you get the itch, I want you to let me know. And sure enough, the weekend went by, and that Monday he had the itch and decided he wanted to come back and help us win another championship, and we're ecstatic to have him on board.
Barry from Goddard asked, did you think that the 21 runs you scored against Grand Prairie this last Saturday night was more of an anomaly, or do you think that this is a true representation of how your team can be offensively?
It was fun to watch. That was a fun night, no doubt about it. We can swing it, and I think on any given night we can erupt. I know we've had some struggles offensively at times, but that was a fun night, no doubt about it. I think it goes to show that we could be capable of doing that at any time, and we just got to go in there, especially tomorrow night, confident in our ability and the way that we pitch. Hopefully we can scrape a couple across and give our chance to win a game tomorrow night like we have all year. But as I mentioned, those three guys that we added have been a huge jolt to our lineup.
Andy from Clearwater points out that the 21-run game was awesome to listen to. What was it like to manage for you?
I always talk about those games. They're tough to manage, believe it or not. You don't want to embarrass anybody by any means, especially the way I am. And it's tough to decide when to stop running, when you put the brakes on, stuff like that. The wind's blowing out of our ballpark a lot. Things can turn around in a hurry, but scoring 5 runs in 4 straight innings was crazy. We got 20 of those runs in those 4 innings, and so there's times where you don't want to, like I said, you don't want to offend anybody or embarrass anybody. You just kind of, once you get to a certain point, we're going station to station on the base pass.
I also know that it's a situation where you have a lot of respect for Eric Champion, and they were going through a very difficult time. So it's probably even more that you're feeling like, I really don't want to embarrass this team.
Absolutely. That was for sure. That was in the part of my thinking when I'm out there. And, it's tough for the starting pitcher, and that night was Brownie. It's tough for him because he's sitting in there for a long period of time every inning. And, I had it in my mind. We were pretty much cutting all of our starters off this last start after 6 innings, no matter if they threw 60 pitches or 90 pitches. That was what I had in my mind. I wanted to get 6 out of all of them and get them rested up for bigger and better things that we're about to come across.
Sam from Wichita wants to know, he heard that some teams were accusing your club of cheating this past offseason. Kevin Hooper don't cheat, so is this sour grapes?
Well, I don't know how many people know about it, but there was an incident that had happened where, it was an unfortunate situation with the betterment of a person, I guess, with some college credit hours that we were able to acquire from a local university, and it wasn't very many, and very few guys, I think in my 6 years, 4 guys even utilized it. But it was a situation where, you know, it was a tough go. It was a tough time because here we are trying to think about guys' opportunities after baseball, you know, and we had a university in town that was willing to sponsor us and to give us some credit hours, and it's just sad because, like I said, here we are looking out for the betterment of somebody and for their life, you know, after baseball. And, you know, I'm a guy, and Josh is the same way, whereas if we knew somebody was doing that in our league or had the opportunity of doing that, well, we would go find a college in our area and try to do the same thing, because honestly, that has nothing to do with anything on the baseball field. And I told Josh, they can take it away all they want. It's not going to change our teams or how I, you know, recruit or anything, because honestly, I'd never even utilized it as a recruiting tool. It was just kind of one of those perks that we told guys about when they got here. And, you know, it was just, so that's where all, Sam, if you heard about the cheating or whatever, that's all it was something that was not even involved with on the field stuff or anything like that. Or, you know, you hear a lot about guys paying guys under the table, which I know, you know, supposedly happens with some clubs in our league, and just tough to police all that. You know, it's tough to police all that, but it's nice to look yourself in the mirror at the end of the night after winning a championship knowing you didn't cheat. And it was just unfortunate the way all that went down, because, like I said, I think that that'd be something that if every team looked into in our league would be awesome, you know, to be able to utilize that and utilize some credit hours any way we could for guys who maybe haven't finished college.
I think the other thing for Sam and other people to understand, too, is that from my understanding, this wasn't even something that the team had gone out to solicit. It was that the college offered it as kind of a, hey, we appreciate your players kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, you know, it was just they were wanting to get their name out at the stadium, I think, and, you know, just involved in the Wingnuts any way they could. And it's utilized by our front office staff, too. I know there's 2 or 3 of them right now that are going to get their masters done. And, you know, like I said, it became a really big deal, and our owners were really upset about the whole situation to the point where we were maybe close to stepping out of this league because of it. And it's just unfortunate. Like I said, you know, a lot of people have their ways and get things set in their mind that, you know, there's and I understand. I understand maybe that's a perk that was an added bonus, but I also think that there's ways of going about it where, like I said, well, instead of fussing about it, let's go out and try to find the same thing for our own guys, because if we could get that as a group throughout our league, how awesome would that be? And, you know, it's just, like I said, one of those unfortunate circumstances, and it was only 20 hours. So you're looking at maybe 1, maybe 2 guys that would be able to use it, and they'd have to stay in Wichita to utilize it. And, like I said, some front office folks had the opportunity to use it too. So I think in my 6 years prior, only I think 4 guys utilized it. But yeah, it was a big hairy mess and an unfortunate mess that you know, in my mind, obviously, well, we wouldn't do anything to interrupt the integrity of anything, whether it be our team or the game in general. And we just thought that you know, I never even thought twice about it, because here, like you said, a university's reaching out to us, well, they're wanting to help some guys further their career past independent baseball, because this is the end of the careers for a lot of these guys, and to be able to give them that opportunity was pretty special, and it got taken away.
And I know Kevin really won't answer this because that's not the kind of person he is, but Sam, I would definitely say it looked like sour grapes. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Randy from Park City would like to know who you think is going to win the other series between Sioux City and St. Paul.
Randy, that I really don't know what a series that's going to be. Both series should be really good. When you get to this time of the year, you're looking at the 4 best teams in the league. So everybody's going to have a chance. Like I said earlier, this is the time that I want to get to. I want to get to the playoffs. I don't talk about winning championships. I talk about getting to the playoffs, because you can't win a championship if you're not in the playoffs sitting at home. And I continue to talk about at the beginning of every year, let's get to the postseason. Let's get to the postseason, and then you just throw the cards out, and however they fall, they fall. You know, the best team doesn't always win a championship. I felt like we've had the best team the last 3 years, and we won 1 championship out of those 3 clubs. So It's just getting hot at the right time. I hope we can get hot here for a week and a half. But that other series is going to be pretty good because you're looking at a team who won 75 games and a team that won 74 games. So should be a great battle.
Vince from Derby would like to know why they call it the coach's box, but the coaches never seem to stand in it.
I'm not sure. A lot of places you go, there isn't even a box. So it just varies from team to team. Obviously, we have one because we're on turf. But, I think it's just a reference point to if someone ever complains about you standing somewhere, that would be the box that you would have to stand in. So I think it's pretty irrelevant in a lot of places and a lot of times, but there's certain situations where someone might throw a fit of where you're standing and make you stand in the box.
So there really is a rule, though, that says you're supposed to stand in that, or how does that work?
Yeah. I mean, if someone, like I said, if someone brought it up and, mentioned that you got to be in the box, you have to be in the box.
Interesting. Eddie from Wichita asks, what are some good conditioning drills you would recommend to just be in better shape?
Well, I think just running in general. I've never been a long-distance guy, but anything that can get your heart rate going, I think is going to help. I have become a little more long-distance guy since I retired from playing, but anything that can just get that heart rate going, that's going to obviously help your conditioning. And there's a lot. The laundry list is very long for good conditioning drills that you could do, but just to get in better shape, even get out and walk. I think my philosophy on everything, exercise-wise, for anybody, just get out and move around, and when you get some time, just go for a nice little walk or a jog or get in the weight room. Any opportunity you have to do anything fitness-wise, I recommend it.
Sean from Joplin would like to know how impressed you were with the job that Joplin did this season.
I was very impressed, Sean, to be taking a year off from the El Paso organization and then going into Joplin. Obviously, they had some pieces in place, but to do what they did and to battle like they did was pretty impressive. I've gotten to know Carlos pretty well. I have a lot of respect for him. He's been around the game a long time and knows what he's doing. He's a very good baseball mind, and we've built a pretty strong relationship throughout the year, him and I, and became a big fan of them and the way they do things, and wish them nothing but the best in the future.
Marshall from Wichita asked, with you being such an integrity guy, how do you feel about the whole Deflategate thing?
Oh, geez. I'm ready for it to be done, and everybody stop talking about it. I don't know. Everybody's going to have their opinion on the whole thing. Tom Brady continues to hold his ground on what, where he stands with it and whatnot, and who knows? Will we ever get the right answer exactly what happened? I doubt it. It's just one of those situations that there's been a lot of talk about it, a lot of arguments about it, a lot of speculation about what really happened, and I'm not sure if we'll ever know. Craig
asked, how do you feel about the use of the aluminum bat?
Not a big fan at all. I wish everybody would go to wood. I get it expense-wise, though, because you're breaking wood bats, and that becomes an expense, and that can be a tough spot for, whatever level or age group you're at. But especially college. I wish college would even go to a composite wood bat, the ones that don't break, and, just get rid of the aluminum bat because, if you're wanting to play at the next level, you're going to be using wood, so you might as well get used to it.
Makes perfect sense. Silvio from Sedgwick asked, do you think Jameis Winston can stay out of trouble off the field and have a good career as a quarterback?
I guess I would say I hope Jameis Winston can stay out of trouble off the field. I know he's had a history of that stuff, as a lot of athletes do. It's tough. Pull out money in front of people, and you put all these guys up on a pedestal, and everything's handed to them in their life. I think a lot of people don't understand how tough it is to live that lifestyle. And, everything you do is scrutinized, and it can be a tough spot for a lot of people. But I wish him the best. He's a heck of an athlete. He's a tremendous quarterback in college, and you hope that you can see that transfer over into the NFL, and I hope that he can stay out of trouble and get his mindset on what he needs to do and what he needs to focus on. That's the right things.
Dan asked you, what is the best baseball story that you have been told that could not possibly be true? A real kind of a whopper of a story.
I'm not sure anything really comes to mind off the top of my head. For my situation, I get a lot of instances where I'll get an email or a phone call, somebody wanting to come put themselves in front of us, especially pitching-wise, where you get a report from somebody at a lower level, or even like a college coach or a college level, or even whatever, you speak to a high school coach about, hey, I got a guy who throws 95, you got to see him, and he comes and puts himself in front of you and he throws 85. So in my position, I hear a lot of those stories. Or he's a 6'5" runner and he puts himself in front of you, he's a 6'9" runner. You know, it's tough. Because guys work so hard to get the opportunity to play at this level that sometimes they go out of the realms and fib maybe a little bit just to get a guy in front of you. And that's unfortunate. I'm an honest man. I want honest people around me. And, you're just wasting everybody's time if that's the case, where here I'm expecting to get a guy who throws 95, he shows up, he's throwing 85 miles an hour. And we tell guys all the time, it might be your one and only opportunity to put yourself in front of us, and you've got to be ready when that opportunity comes. So, sorry, Dan, I didn't have a real whopper of a story for you. I'm sure if I took some time maybe and really thought about that, I could have one. If I think of one, maybe we'll talk about it next week or whatnot. But, those are my stories, just the ones where you hear about this guy can do this guy can do that. A lot of times that's not the case.
I would think for you as a manager, and for virtually all the managers within the league, that if, let's say, a college coach or a scout for some team or their agent called and said, hey, I got John Smith here who can throw 95, and you bring him in and he throws 85, the next time John Smith is calling you, or, the agent or whoever is calling you and saying, hey, look, I got, Todd Bridges here or whatever, you're looking at that going, hey, I'm not wasting my time with this person because they lied to me about the last guy.
Yeah, they can get your name crossed off my list pretty quick. Like I said, I'm going to trust you and believe you until you prove otherwise. It's kind of how I am with everybody. And, it only takes one time. And, I might give a guy a second chance, but if it happens twice, it probably won't be a third. So, you said it right. It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot a lot of times. And I know it's one workout, and guys can be bad for one workout. But unfortunately, a lot of times that's the only chance we get to see somebody.
Yep, Kevin's time's pretty short, that's for sure. Our last question from Todd from Wichita, and I actually had to look this up to find out who this even was, but he points out, he says he loves the show and says that the two of us should continue to do this year-round. He understood that I was a redhead and probably get sunburned easily, and that since you were such a genius, he believes that our show should be called The Real Pinky and the Brain.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, I'm a redhead also, and I get sunburned pretty easy myself. But first of all, Todd, I appreciate the support, and I know Rob does too. I think we've both enjoyed doing this week in and week out, and I know he's probably done the same with George. It's been a lot of fun for me. I enjoy getting all the different questions. I appreciate the support from everyone. And, I'm willing to do this as often as Rob is willing to do it as well. So it's been a lot of fun answering some of the folks' questions. And like I said, everybody who sent a question in, I appreciate it, and appreciate the support from people like Todd, because it's been an enjoyable year for me to do this, and I'm glad that people have enjoyed it as well.
Did you even know who that was, by the way? Because I didn't until I saw that. Okay. Oh. It's supposedly, it's some cartoon mouse that the brain wants to take over the world every day, and Pinky is kind of his goofy sidekick in the show or something. So,
no, it's funny. It's always fun, and then in the week on a fun, fun question to lighten things up as we end the week with the show. So thanks again, Todd, for the question and also the support.
Great, Kevin, and continued success, and we will see you next week.
Sounds great, Robert. Best of luck to all the teams here in the playoffs, and it should be a fun series for everybody.
All right, talk to you next week, Kevin.
All right.
We want to thank manager Kevin Hooper for joining us on Short Hops this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the Wichita Wingnuts skipper, please send them to us at askkevin@minorleaguesportsreport.com. That's askkevin@minorleaguesportsreport.com. Next week we will also be coming to you on a Wednesday, as Tuesday we will be recording the show just prior to the American Association Championship Series. We're sure the Wichita Wingnuts will be participating in that, so we look forward to Kevin's information that he has for us as we're reaching that championship series. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Short.